Welcome back, guys. Hopefully you're hearing me well and you can see this. We're looking at a little bit of code to start with. It's just a simple day-night cycle trick for, obviously it should be pretty straightforward to anybody else that's using Unity, but a quick pass through here. In the scene, I've got a sun and a moon, and they're pointing at the center of the world. They're directional lights, so if you've used 3D software before, you'll be kind of familiar how directional lights work. They are used in this script here that makes them rotate or orbit around the center of the screen, and also makes them look at the center. So you have the moon on one side and the sun on the other, pointing in at the center. So if you rotate them as a team, you have your day and night, with moonlight at night and sunlight in the day, and Unity shader responds properly to the one that's first created as the sun. So what we have is a little script that simply checks to see if the item is below a cutoff height that I've defined as so many units below the surface of, or so many units below 0. If its position is there, then put it to its dim intensity, which in the case of the sun is just low enough to not totally shut it off and make the shader switch over to thinking the moon is the sun, but it's almost pitch black. But what if you're just below the horizon but not below the cutoff? Well, then what I have is a function that blends its brightness down between daytime down to what its night intensity is here. And then if you not those two, it must be fully daytime, right? So it actually works in the spin down and the spin up on the opposite side. And you actually apply the same script to the moon because they're facing each other. They automatically are opposite of each other when they run, and it just works really simple. So I just have the moon only comes up to 0.35, and it requires -45 below the horizon, same as the sun, and that's units, that's not degrees. But you notice the sun goes to a full intensity in the daytime, and that's what we see. I've also, here, let's pop into scene mode. I've also been playing on, well, there's the sun there. I've also been playing on the rocks, as some of you may have remembered from last time. This is kind of like the weird little grotto test. I've tried working in some more textures to kind of match the rocks, and trying to see how Unity works for that, and kind of trying to figure out how that works. Then I tried making a mesa. I've got to work on setting the shininess and the metal values of these rocks. Not too bad, but there's some things I'm going to have to do to make it a little bit better. But the interface isn't too bad along there, and this is just in the editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire up the actual engine here. It's going to go in. Let's just drop a tank or two in. Oh, dropped a tank right on top of the rocks. Let's see if I can land it. And there we go. Okay, so now we're in the tank. Now let's actually get in the tank. So this is the little rock. I've done this one before, and as you can see, the moonlight's going to come up, and any of the shaders that have a certain amount of reflectivity, a bit too high, the metal value is high and the reflectivity is high, you get this kind of weird light cast, which is exactly what the lake does if reflectivity is too high. Excuse me there, I can't say reflectivity for some reason, and I got a slight hiccup. Anyhow, so what we have here is the wall, and it's kind of right on the border between the sun, and there's a day-night cycle, and that smoothing is slowly brightening up the sun, so it hits the stones and comes over, and then the moon is going underneath, and the moon is actually shutting off, and you don't get any weird underglow like was happening before. Some of you might have noticed, a lot of you may not have, that the sun was actually lighting this stuff up through the bottom, because the terrain is actually transparent in the direction from bottom up. So as we're going to see here, the sun's going to go down, and I'm purposely looking at this wall on this edge because it shows any of the errors that were once there. There shouldn't be any bottom faces of the stone lit from underneath, because before they were getting an amber glow up from underneath the dirt. You can see there's a tiny bit of amber glow, and then the sun's going to go off, and then there's no amber glow. we're under full moonlight. And that's why the upper surface, the metallic sheen or the polished rocks have this whitish sort of look to them. I guess their metal value is a bit too high, so I'm going to have to work on that in the shader, because as you can see, it makes them kind of white and almost frosted. It almost looks like everything gets hit by a frost. So now the sun's coming up, so let's go over and have a look at the bigger mesa. And as you can see in the daylight, it works just fine. I can even tell right now that I could still do with lowering some of the shine on it. Got my fingers out of orientation here for driving the tank. Whoop, I get stuck on something. Yeah, you don't want to go too fast to the side, but anyhow, that's the we'll call it the kind of bottom jawed mesa, because it's got two columns, or two larger stones, and it's composed of probably 100 individual things. And I'm looking at it, and actually, since I've built this, it actually occludes. Yeah, I think I'm saying that occludes the things behind it. My FPS actually has gone up by adding these. Ironically, the more of this I add into the scene, the more the FPS goes up, because it's able to hide things from behind. At least that's a bit all I can figure makes sense. But here you can see I tried to paint the terrain using texture in. Oh, there's one rock that's a bit too high. I don't know if you guys can see that, the bottom of him. I should slam him down or paint up some terrain there. Maybe throw in one of these detail rocks underneath. We'll see. But plenty good enough for testing. The idea here is just to be somewhere that would be a place where a tank might go to either hide from other tanks. Yeah, I need some more paint, more detail rocks in areas like that. You can see this here. Let's turn. Just for a split second, I'm going to go down here. If you look in the aerial map, I have an object around the tank that only the map camera can see. You can't see it with this normal camera here, the one we're in. But yeah, it needs some detail rocks pushed in here. The terrain is meeting okay, but could be better. Like some more detail rock like that, if you see here. I know at night it's a little hard to see, and I'm not driving the tank the best. But it'll be daylight here in a second, and we'll see the daylight come up on this rock, and you'll see like the overhang areas here that I really kind of got to go back and fix. I don't mind the dirt here like this, but alright, so sun's coming up from the opposite side. Here it comes. We'll have to wait till noon. I was hoping it was coming the other way, but you'll actually see the shadows work on the actual rock faces too. Again, that's the models, the way they were built. They actually have proper shadowing. I guess it's kind of how you do see it a little bit overhang. This is proper overhang here, but that overhang there isn't supposed to have happened like that. I'm supposed to put some more of these detail rocks underneath. So we come over here. Oop. So we got some. Whoop. I keep forgetting I can't slide well that direction. So just a couple oddly placed detail rocks. But you see here I've got the metallic or the smoothness up a little bit too high here on the mesa. Makes it look like it frosted at night. So I'm gonna have to edit the shader for these rock textures. Here we are on top of the mesa. I actually from the top it kind of matches the other rocks actually. But this would be maybe there'd be more than one of these kind of things, or maybe two in the game. Obviously in old top-down RTSs, this would be the kind of thing you'd build your units on or whatever and take hold. Here it's going to be you put your tanks, maybe some deployable turrets if we're lucky, depending on what time Jim and I get to develop certain parts of this. I mean, realistically at this point I really kind of want to just go right for multiplayer before I worry about AI and get those things functioning, and then AI is just coding a virtual player at that point, so it would be good to do it that way. As you can see, I don't have the shader quite well matched between the ground and those edge rocks, and I could have used some detail rocks in around there. But then again, I mean, the FPS speed, and I'm recording this with OBS at the same time, and I got Discord open and a few other things open on my screen as well. I do have 3 screens running, so you know, to see this with 180 frames per second. It's pretty cool. Actually, let's just drive our tank here. There's our other tank over there. You can see him. I don't think... Settle down the hovering. Let's just hop into that tank. Can it see me? Oh yeah, there it is. I wonder. I know we can't hit that way, but it would be funny. Let's wait for the stars or nighttime to come back around. See if I can't blow that guy up. It only takes a few shots if I hit him. Of course, normally you would never get this chance. So there goes the sun. So we'll just be able to see the sun go down. There we go. Yeah. I'm gonna cheat and drive forward a bit. Yeah, it'll blow up. We get to him. Yeah, so we did. We blew him up in the distance. That's technically the first long shot kill. But as you can see, actually, let's just drop the camera here. We would have mesas for, you know, combat across or whatever, liking to get some missiles in. They definitely look better in the daytime. I really have to work on the textured tones and the shaders, but yeah, it's going to be pretty easy to do what I want to do art-wise to make the playable arenas. We're just going to call them arenas right now, the arena levels, and then hopefully I can get some multiplayer in and some way of tracking wins and losses and kills and all that. I don't think that part's going to be very hard. It's just getting the multiplayer in and doing that. See, now the tank itself, I don't have maximum tanks detected, but the tank count system isn't engaged yet because I can still spawn a ton of tanks. You see there. Just throw a few more in, just for fun. I can see. Let's go up to 32 tanks. That was my original target. Yeah, 45 FPS. One of those tanks in there is alive. Obviously, I just realized I need a command that can randomly kill the tanks. Anyhow, they're all running. They're under physics. I don't think we'll ever really have a game running 32 tanks. Probably only be 8. Maybe 8 or 16 at the max. But probably 8 players, and then there might be some other AI or not that complicated of a unit on the go. Anyhow, hope you like this kind of stuff, and it's interesting to you. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.